Why can't Manchester United score? In this video, we analyze their struggles in attack, looking at their loss to Wolves and comparing it to Real Madrid's 3-2 win over Atlanta. I highlight how United's poor movement and lack of teamwork leave their attack weak, while Madrid's smart runs and coordination create chances. This breakdown reveals what United must change to improve and helps fans understand key tactics in football. As we analyzing, please you follow us Gygosport on YouTube. Let's analyze.
From Manchester United's disappointing defeat against Wolves, with that of Real Madrid's 3-2 win over La Dea, Atalanta Bergamo in the Champions League, a clash between two Italian tacticians, Ancelotti and Gasperini, so that we can understand how it's done at the duel. We're going to start with the bad. Let's highlight the bad. This sequence right here from the game against Wolves, I could have used like 12 sequences, but of course I cannot show you the whole game. But here the Manchester United players, the way they are positioned, to me, simply does not make any sense tactically. You have here the two 10s, Bruno and Amad Diallo. What are they trying to do? Okay, so Bruno is trying to get on the ball. Amad Diallo is trying to find some space. Højlund is acting as the playmaker here, while in fact he's supposed to be the finisher. Kobe Mainoo, who is probably more potent than Højlund, is supposed to be on the ball, and now he's just stretching space. What is he trying to do? I don't understand. He's not really creating any meaningful space here. Then we have Dalot and Mazraoui again. What are they doing there as wingbacks? The more this sequence unfolds, the more you're going to start realizing that really the positioning of the Manchester United players is completely off and completely devoid of any purpose. All of these players that I've highlighted right here, I cannot really tell you from a tactical standpoint what is it that they're trying to achieve, because this area right here, this is what we call area 14, right in front of this half circle. That's like grabbing someone by the throat. You never do that. They're going to definitely react violently because this is a vital point. It's the same thing in football tactics. In this area right here, any player who's here and who's got this much time, with one or two runs, with one pass, one through ball, you can create a clear-cut chance. But of course, none of the Manchester United players are here. In fact, here, either Ahmad should have been here with Mazraoui trying to create space out wide, or dragging Ryan Ait-Nouri out wide with him to create space for Ahmad to exploit over here, or Kobe Mainoo should have been here. None of that happens. And what we have is literally a situation like this where nothing happens. And here I'm tracking Mazraoui and Ahmad. What are they doing? There is no purpose behind their actions. And then here we have Dalot also is trying to make a run, trying to create space. But again, what is happening? There is actually no point to what the Manchester United players are doing from a tactical standpoint. This is just a few seconds later, about 20 seconds later, we find ourselves in the same situation again. So many Manchester United players just overload in this area. But the point of an overload is to create space in these places so that you can play a long ball towards the players in these areas, because there are not many opposition players, opposition defenders. Therefore, you can easily create chances. But here, as you can see, the Manchester United players are not even going to do that. Look, I'm tracking them. What are they doing? What is the point? What are they doing? They're just keeping the ball for the sake of keeping it. And of course, by this point, all of the Wolf players have already regrouped back into their own half. And there's no way that we're going to create anything. So now let's actually watch some real football. Okay, so let's see how top players and top teams actually create chances through movement. Okay, and so this is from Real Madrid's 3-2 win against Atalanta in the Champions League. And this was really a masterclass from both teams, actually, not just from one team. But here we're going to see what happens. So Rudiger goes for a long ball towards Kylian Mbappe. And here these three players, Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, and Brahim Diaz, are of course going to be involved in a masterclass in that relationship between a playmaker and a runner into space, because that's very important. I think that the Manchester United players, many of them just get into each other's way, like in that sequence I showed you against Wolves, and we don't have enough runners into space for the playmakers to target. And here, this is going to be a masterclass. So here, again, this is the area that the Real Madrid players want to exploit. But of course, now they can't. Of course, Atalanta, there are no pushovers. They're a good team. They are well coached by an Italian tactician, Gasperini, who is very good. But now look at the movement of this attacking trio. As you can see, Mbappe, the moment Brahim Diaz gets the ball, he doesn't stay next to him, because all he's going to do is just get in his way. So what he's doing now is that he's actually moving into spaces, okay? Because this area right here is supposed to be Brahim Diaz's area. with Vinicius Jr. stretching the line. Now, the Real Madrid players want to be in this area right here. But of course, like I said, the Atalanta players are not really letting them stay there. And as you can see here, the moment Mbappe steps in there, he's actually surrounded by Jim City, by Hein, the central center back, and Darun, the number 6 in the Atlanta setup. They also play with the back 3, by the way. And so, of course, there is no chance for him to receive the ball in this situation. But then here, this is why players like Vinicius Juniors are stars. You know, it's because of this move. So what he does now, and look, I'm tracking him and Hein, by making that run, which is a dummy run, he knows that he's not going to receive the ball. He's actually freeing up Mbappe. And so now, Brahim Diaz can actually do what a playmaker does, which is actually pass the ball to a striker. And then here Mbappe, reminiscent of Ronaldo Nazario. This is beautiful. He just takes on the rune, and that's a beautiful, beautiful finish. And so that is how you create chances. Now, let's look at Atalanta for a minute right here. So Kolasinac, who is the left-sided center-back in a Manchester United setup, that would be someone like Lisandro Martinez, for example, towards the wing-back, Ruggeri. But then here, Lookman, who in my opinion is one of the best players in the world currently. He's going to do a move, a very good move to create space. Here, Lucas Vazquez, the Real Madrid right back, is on him. But no, he's not. Because with one dummy run, he's able to go into space. Not only that, but Charles de Ketelaere, who was playing as the right forward, even though he's an attacking midfielder, is also going to make a very interesting run. To get ahead of Rudiger, he's making a diagonal run to receive the ball from Lookman. Now, Rudiger is a top defender. Of course, he was able to get that last touch in order to minimize the sting in the shot and make it easier for Courtois, but it doesn't matter. It's the move. The quality of the move from Atalanta was definitely on point, okay? Now, this is another example of how the positioning of the forward players, like I talked about Højlund earlier, can actually help you create chances. Something that Atalanta does very, very well. The Atalanta players are super smart. So here what we have is an organized, stable back four for Real Madrid. Now, what de Ketelaere and Lookman are going to do is actually excellent. Look, they're just jogging forward. They're not making any runs to get on the ball. They're not making any runs in behind the defense. Because what they're trying to do here, they are trying to just force the Real Madrid center-backs to get back a little bit in order to create this space right here and also to just push them back so that they have more space in behind the defense to exploit so that they don't get trapped in an offside trap. So now what they do is that Lookman now is trying to have a nice proactive run in behind the defense, which allows de Ketelaere to move into that space that I highlighted previously. So now they are doing like kind of like a cross walk. So now the defense is still mildly organized right now, but you can already see that the Real Madrid players are trying to get organized and trying to adapt to the movement of the Atalanta players. So now de Ketelaere is making himself available in that playmaker role to receive the ball. And look at this. The moment he received it, now Lookman gets his cue. And so now, again, instead of coming wide to receive the ball, because that's what the Manchester United players do, you know, just get on the ball and then pass it. That's the easy thing to do. This is the hard thing to do. He makes this run. It's a perfectly timed run, which now pushes the Real Madrid defense back. De Ketelaere can go wide and then can receive the ball back. And all of these players right now are positioned in good positions where they can be dangerous for Atalanta. Of course, this chance did not result in a goal, but of course, it's the intent. Now, guys, before we move to the next segment, a little update from Scarlet Report. Hey, all right, so now let's talk about the next segment. And the next segment is going to be about the build-up and about just how bad Manchester United are in the build-up. And of course, the build-up is an quintessential part of the attacking phase because, of course, the build-up is what allows you to progress the ball into the final third where you can actually hurt the opposition. Now, look at Manchester United. We are extremely abysmal when it comes to building up from the back. Now, under Erik ten Hag and under Ruben Amorim, there have been moments where we've been somewhat competent in this area. But the problem is that we haven't done it nearly consistently enough to have any real impact on the results that we get throughout the season. But look at this. This is just some rookie moves. So here we have Mazraoui doing the right thing. You know, coming, making himself available to receive the ball. But the problem is that there is no movement around him. So all he can do now is to give it back to Lenioro. And Lenioro goes with an easily anticipated pass from Totti right here towards Amad Diallo. And the reason it can never succeed is because Amad Diallo is too far high up the pitch. And so it's easy to read and intercept this pass by Lenioro. And then now, of course, Wolves are able to win the ball and they're able to maintain pressure on us. And they've been able to do it with 4 players against 5 Manchester United players. Wolves, who were in the relegation zones. So, again, this is not good enough from Manchester United. But now let's look at how Atalanta does it against Real Madrid. So here we have the same thing. So Jim City, okay, is going to play the ball back towards the midfield. Ederson, who is dropping deep. Now look at what's going to happen. And again, I'm tracking the players. See this? There you go. Quick interchange of positions between Ederson and De Roon, so the 2 defensive midfielders. And here now, so basically Bellingham, as he's been following Ederson, he has actually allowed De Roon to just find empty space for him to be able to receive the ball. And then now he is able to receive the ball and he's able to play the ball towards Kolasinac. And Kolasinac has a lot of space to control the ball and to decide what he's going to do with it next. And then here Ruggeri, the left wing back, and Hein, the central centre back, are going to be involved in a very good sequence of play. So here Hein gets the ball, but of course Kolasinac has kept going and he's made that move forward. And so here Hein is going to find him into space. And here, you know, like in a Manchester United context, this is a sequence that would have been between Lisandro Martinez and Harry Maguire. Okay, so it's excellent. I mean, the fact that they're doing this with their center backs is amazing. And the reason why I'm showing you this is for 2 main reasons, okay? First of all is because the same concept, the same tactical concept about the defenders trying to impact the play in the final third is actually going to be the exact reason why Atalanta were able to get a penalty about 20 minutes later to get back in the game and equalize, okay? The second reason is because in a system like this with the back 3, you have to understand that having 3 center backs sometimes can be kind of redundant and not in a good way. That means that your center backs in a back 3 system, they have to understand when is the time to step back and act like defenders, and when is the time for one of them, at least one of them, to actually step into midfield or even go into the wide areas in order to support the attack. And here this is a perfect example of that. And as you can see, like quickly Atalanta have been able to creep in, you know, 3 or 4 players in dangerous situations to create a chance against Real Madrid. And then here now, this is how Atalanta were able to equalize against Real Madrid with a play that was of course started by a left center back, Kolasinac. So as you can see here, first of all, the positioning of the Atlanta players is much better than the one from the Manchester United players against Wolves, because here you can see clear purpose. So you have the ball carrier, and then you have a cluster of 3 in a triangle formation, and then here another cluster of 3 in a triangle formation, with of course Lookman acting as a striker to keep the center backs busy. Purpose. But of course here De Roon is going to decide to go back to the center backs and then of course go towards Kolasinac. And then here Kolasinac is going to do a play that I find extremely satisfying. I mean, this is why I love football, is for plays like these, you know. So here, as you can see, the Real Madrid players are pretty well organized. The Atlanta players are in a fairly good position, but Real Madrid are pretty secure in this situation. But then what's going to happen is this. Look at this. So Kolasinac is not going to wait. Because here what's happening is that the Real Madrid players, they're only worried about these Atlanta players, you know, the midfielders and the forwards plus the wing back. They're not really worried about a center back making a run, but that's exactly what Kolasinac is going to do. And then here he's just going to make a run, and then Valverde and Brahim Diaz can simply not follow him, and then the foul and penalty for Atalanta, all because of this run from the center back. An extremely underrated move that unfortunately we don't see many of our center backs do it. You need to create that element of unpredictability. An element of unpredictability is what we're going to talk about here. This goal by Real Madrid was you can't. You need runners so that the players who are on the ball can actually target them. And then here, of course, in this situation, poor De Roon, by the way, you know, he's been in this situation against Mbappe, and then again against Bellingham. No player should be put through that ordeal, but of course he could not stop them. And then here Bellingham, beautiful finish into the net, and that's why Real Madrid won. But in this game, again, both teams gave a masterclass into how you can actually create confusion in the opposition defense through off-the-ball movement. That relationship between the off-the-ball movement of a player trying to receive the pass, and then of course the vision from the playmaker, is what allowed them to score goals. And that, unfortunately, is what